here it is, my M4 iPad Pro review. I've been using this device for the last 2 weeks, and now it's time to review it. So, yes, can the iPad Pro replace my Mac? Can the iPad Pro replace your Mac? Or is the iPad Pro even a computer? So if you are excited, drop a comment below, subscribe to the channel. This is my M4 iPad Pro review. Let's get started. If you haven't seen my other videos talking about the M4 iPad Pro, you probably don't know what's my stance on iPads in general. But iPads have been very disappointing for me over the last 4 years. Since I bought my 2018 iPad Pro, that I've been actually very disappointed what Apple has done with the iPad. With the first iPad Pro, especially the 2018 iPad Pro, I was very excited for Apple to take the next step on the iPad lineup. And, well, at least until 2023, they failed us. They did not create anything that was worth considering replacing your Mac for. But now with the M4 iPad Pro, I'm hoping things are different. Because the hardware that we got this May is incredible. Yes, incredible. The M4 iPad Pro is the best piece of hardware, engineering, tech that I've ever held and used. No, I never used the Apple Vision Pro, so I cannot talk about that. But one thing I can tell you, this is stupendous. Super advanced, the hardware feels incredibly well built. The display is the best ever. This is the best display I've ever used. Like, no questions asked. And, oh my god, everything here is perfect, from the accessories to the hardware itself. So, yes, the iPad Pro does not fail on the hardware side. It doesn't. But the iPad Pro kind of lacks on the software side. And that's where I see Apple improving on WWDC. So, this review might age like milk, because on June 10th, Apple will release iPadOS 18, and with that actual update, we could get something much better, and they could fix lots of my complaints on software. But this review, I want to focus more on what we got right now, because we should never trust on future promises for software. Never buy any product trusting that the company itself will release a software update to fix the software issues on it, because most of the time, they don't, and it will be left in the dust. So, yes, how's the hardware on the iPad Pro? What's changed? And what can you expect going into this expensive but amazing iPad Pro? For starters, the design now is different. It's subtle, but it's different. Now, this iPad is 5.1 millimeters thin. Yes, this is the thinnest Apple product ever made. Insanely thin. It's incredible how you can hold this iPad with only one hand. This is the 13-inch iPad Pro. You have the M4 chip inside, you have a Tandem OLED display. It's insane the amount of technology that you have actually built into this very thin package. It's just, oh my god, this is as thick as a sheet of glass. The windows in your home are thicker. So, to put in perspective, the older iPad Pros, mine is the 2018 iPad Pro, was super thin. And I thought it couldn't be even thinner. I was afraid to bend that iPad. But Apple released this iPad Pro, and now, oh my god, the older iPad Pro feels heavy, feels thick, because if you put them side by side, you really notice the difference between 6.4, I think, 6.7, and this 5.1 millimeter thin iPad Pro. It's insane, the difference. Jesus. Apple, amazing job making this iPad feel lots different, while the design in general looks pretty much about the same. The camera bump changes a bit, but overall, it's about the same design. But one thing on the hardware side that changed, and I'm really excited for it, is the placement for the Face ID system and the FaceTime camera. Now, instead of being on the vertical position, it's now on the horizontal position. So FaceTime calls will be much better, and overall recording video with this camera will be much better, because most of the time you are using your iPad on the horizontal landscape position. So having the Face ID system and actually the FaceTime camera there will make Zoom calls, FaceTime calls much better and a lot less awkward. But that's not all. Once you got your iPad into landscape position, your buttons, your volume buttons will adjust. So what do I mean by this? Well, if you use your iPad in this position, this is the top button, so it will increase the volume. This is the lower button, so it will decrease the volume. But if you put it on the landscape position, left will decrease the volume and right will increase the volume. So they switch positions. It took me a while to actually get used to it, but once I did, whoa, I cannot go back. This is really smart. And before, I don't know if it's because of the software or even the hardware, My 2018 iPad Pro did not have that option. So I don't know if it's because it did not have any type of gyroscope inside, could not tell if it was on a vertical or horizontal position, but this M4 iPad Pro having it was a big jump for me, and now I cannot live without it. Because the M4 iPad Pro is only complete if you get the Magic Keyboard. The Magic Keyboard is a very expensive piece of hardware that costs like $350, but it's totally worth it. This is the most expensive accessory that you can get for the M4 iPad Pro, but it's worth every penny. The Magic Keyboard itself, super comfortable to type on. Now it has a bit more key travel. Then that's the touchpad. The touchpad now is a bit bigger and it's made of aluminum as well as the palm rest. This makes the Magic Keyboard feel lots more premium than before, and of course makes it feel even better because now the trackpad does not click, which means this trackpad does not bend, does not deform, and feels a lot more premium. Whatever you touch and use the trackpad, it will feel uniform, just like the MacBooks. It's a bit smaller than the MacBooks, but it works just like a MacBook. And yes, you can use all the gestures on the trackpad, just like the MacBook or macOS. iPadOS supports that. So overall, the hardware side on the iPad Pro is insane. 5.1mm thin. Oh, you also have a Thunderbolt 4 port, so you can connect any type of accessory, any type of dock. If you want to dock this on an external display, it's super fast, super reliable. Thank you, Apple, for putting a Thunderbolt port there. And one more thing, this has a 4 microphone speaker system. It has a 4 speaker system, so the sound quality is really good. The microphones, though, they are a weak point. You have one on the top, 2 on the lateral sides, and 1 on the bottom. What can I tell you? Well, these are breaking points for this iPad, which means if you try to bend this iPad Pro, just like jerry-rig everything, it will bend really easy on these spots. Otherwise, this iPad Pro is actually really strong. Although it's super thin, I don't know why, but in certain positions it's really strong. Apple said that it put a ridge over the iPad Pro to make it even stronger to be bent. So I guess, at least in the last 2 weeks, it did not happen anything, but I guess over time it won't bend on your backpack with your laptop. So if you use your iPad Pro caseless, you'll be completely fine. But if you use your iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard, keep in mind that the whole setup will be thicker than you are actually thinking. Yes, the Magic Keyboard is heavy, the Magic Keyboard is thicker. If you put your iPad Pro on the Magic Keyboard, it becomes even thicker than the MacBook Air. So that's something worth considering if you want an iPad Pro for a laptop replacement. If you get a Magic Keyboard, which I do believe is almost mandatory if you want to replace your laptop with your iPad, then it will become much thicker and much heavier than you are thinking. If you use your iPad Pro caseless, well, this is the thinnest Apple product ever, and it's actually incredible. Go to an Apple store, check it out. It's worth your time. But most of the time, I use this iPad Pro caseless. I do not actually use the Magic Keyboard that much because I use this iPad Pro mostly for university, watch movies, and sometimes edit photos when I'm on the couch. I just like to take time, enjoy photography. I love taking photos with my camera, and then I edit them here. With the iPhone 15 Pro Max, with the iPad Pro, doesn't matter. And with this new generation iPad Pro, it's actually super cool to sit down, take some time, use your Apple Pencil, use your fingers, the touch. My favorite input method is touch, and so I love it. I just use the iPad Pro. It's my favorite device to do so. So most of the time, I'm not docked on the Magic Keyboard. Whenever I want to do more serious work, especially like edit videos, respond to emails, or even sometimes FaceTime, Excel, some more serious work for university, Word, I don't know, PowerPoint, I like to dock onto the Magic Keyboard. And the experience itself is really easy. It's magnetic, just like the Apple Pencil is also magnetic. So you can pick up your Apple Pencil and just dock it to the side of the iPad Pro. This is easy. This is the Apple Pencil Pro, another great accessory on the iPad Pro. This costs the same as the Apple Pencil 2nd generation, and it's only supported by the new M4 iPad Pro and the new M2 iPad Air. This is expensive, but it's the best Apple Pencil ever made. It has an haptic motor, it has a gyroscope, it has more features, it has the squeeze function. So this is the best Apple Pencil ever, and I will have a different section for the Apple Pencil during this review. But if you want to click out really fast, then the Apple Pencil is great, the best in the market, totally worth if you are an artist to get the M4 iPad Pro. But like I was saying, I like to use this iPad Pro caseless, and so most of the time I do. This is light, this is thin, and yeah, just makes life much easier. On an airport, maybe you can get a Magic Keyboard in, but because it's a 13-inch sized iPad, well, you are reaching laptop standards. If you are using your Magic Keyboard in an iPad Pro most of the time, then why not get a MacBook Air? The overall footprint will be almost the same, and you will have macOS, a better speaker system, a better keyboard. Overall, you'll have a better computer with more functionality. Yes, this has the best display ever made, but are you really willing to pay more for a lesser computer? That's something you need to analyze. Talking about displays, of course, this has the Tandem OLED display. For the first time, Apple puts a Tandem OLED display on a device, and they chose the iPad Pro to do so. This is the best display that I've ever used. There's no doubt about it. It's insane. The brightness levels, incredible. The contrast ratios, incredible. The blacks, incredible. But the thing that surprised me the most with OLED displays are actually the peak brightness. Normally, OLED displays are not that bright, especially this big of an OLED display. This is a 13-inch sized OLED display. Remember, guys, with the iPhones, you have a 7-inch display with OLED. That's easier to make it brighter because it does not require as much power and also does not wear off the pixels that much. But if you try to create this big of an OLED display before this Tandem OLED technology, you will have issues because your pixels will actually wear off really fast and you won't be able to reach this peak brightness. But Apple was smart, and together with LG and other manufacturers like Samsung, they created a new method to manufacture an OLED display to make it even brighter and the contrast ratios even better while making it more efficient and more durable. So there's no compromises with going this Tandem OLED display. It's better than Mini LED, it's definitely better than LCD. This is the future of displays on Apple devices, and I cannot wait to get it on my MacBook Pro. But here's the thing, this is truly an incredible display. But will you take advantage of it? Because I got this 2024 iPad Pro side by side with my 2018 iPad Pro, which has issues on the display. It has tint on my LCD. It's also broken. And yeah, this is better. If you are a display nerd, you will love the 2024 iPad Pro. But if you are a normal user, you won't probably notice the difference. I love OLED displays, and I notice right away the difference between an OLED display and an LCD display. And if you do, go to the Apple Store, try it out and see. And if you notice the difference, this is going to be huge for you because, again, you are interacting with the display. This is the main input method. And if you have an amazing display that you love, well, your experience will be tenfold better than it was before. But if you don't really care about that, then yeah, it's the most expensive part of this iPad Pro. One of the biggest reasons to upgrade. If you don't really care about 120 Hz and OLED, it's not worth to get the M4 iPad Pro. But if you are actually amazed by this incredible technology, this is probably one of the cheapest ways to get this color accuracy, this quality of display. Trust me, this is the best display that I've ever used. This is one of the best displays you will ever use, for sure. And because the iPad Pro is definitely a media-first device instead of a work device, having a great display is almost mandatory to watch Netflix movies, to watch Disney+, to watch YouTube videos, to edit your photos. You can do all of this on this very thin device with one of the best displays in the world, which is also very efficient. Together with the power of the M4 chip and the efficiency of Apple Silicon, you get amazing battery life on this iPad Pro. What do I mean by amazing? Well, the same old 10-hour battery life, which might not sound very surprising, but if you think that Apple put a very power-hungry display, one of the best in the business, the best chip they have in a while, the M4 chip, they put a Tandem OLED display, they put the same battery, almost the same battery, on a much thinner chassis. What can go wrong for battery life, right? But Apple kept it the same. According to my tests in the last 2 weeks, which are not the best part to test your battery life because the first 2 weeks are always the worst in your experience, but I have consistent days, full days of work without any issues using the iPad Pro. Can get up in the morning, pick up it fully charged at 100%, use it, and by the end of the day, I'll have to plug it in and charge it. But to maintain battery health, and because this was a very expensive purchase for me, it was almost $2,100 or euros. So yes, it was really expensive. And yes, I want to make this a very durable device, so I turned on the 80% limit on the battery charging. Yes, this is one of the few iPads you can do so. Just go into settings, then battery management, and then turn on the battery limit at 80%. I don't need more than this. This is more than enough for what I do, which is basic university note-taking, watch movies, watch videos. If I need more, I just plug it in. Reaching up the 100% is not the best for the iPad Pro. Although my 2018 iPad Pro, I've checked it like 2 weeks ago, how was the battery health, and in 6 years of use that iPad Pro, no care about the battery health, nothing. I did not have any type of specific charging method, nothing. I still had 89%. So I do believe that these bigger batteries, they don't suffer as much of wear and tear. My MacBook Pro is actually destroyed. It's almost like 83% in 3 years. So you can definitely tell I don't use my iPad Pro that much for work. But for normal things, this is still the great battery life of the iPad. As for the camera, well, this year we got changes. And for the worst, because this year Apple removed the ultra-wide lens that we had before with the 2022 M2 iPad Pros. Yes, now we only got one lens. It's a wide lens. It's a 12 megapixel lens, as you can see. This is the same lens as the 2022 iPad Pro, but it's only 12 megapixels. It's not great, does not take that much great of photos. It's not an iPhone lens. And because of the thinness of this iPad Pro, you can tell that Apple did not focus on the camera bump, neither the camera quality. This is for scanning documents. They added this huge ultra-wide sensor for the iPad Pro, and their excuse was quite funny. They said it was for scanning documents. Is it better at scanning documents? Yes, it is. It's much better than the older iPad Pros, much more precise, a lot less shadows, so the scanning is actually better. For me, quite cool. I'm a student, I scan lots of documents, and this is one of the best features also, best improvements for me on the 2024 iPad Pro. But I do actually think this is a very niche product and very niche feature, because do you scan documents a lot with your iPad Pro? If you do, if you love scanning documents, signing them with your Apple Pencil, then this was actually a pretty cool thing, having this big LiDAR sensor. Oh, it's also cool for 3D rendering and 3D photo taking of devices, so you can create LiDAR images of objects and rooms. If you don't do that, then, well, I guess it's useless. One thing that is very much improved on iPadOS in the last few years has been monitor support. And the 2024 iPad Pro, especially from the M1 upwards, is no different, because this has external monitor support. And it's actually pretty cool. You just put your iPad, connect it via USB-C cable, and you are going. You have an external display, almost like macOS, but you have more restrictions. You use Stage Manager. It's a Stage Manager menu, and you can resize apps. You can have several apps open at the same time, several windows, but you are not completely free. You will have boundaries that you need to follow. So it's cool, but I would prefer, once you connect the display, you would get macOS, not this different version of iPadOS that is not full-fledged. I'm hoping that on WWDC this year, June 10th, we get an even deeper and more powerful feature. Once you connect a USB-C port to an external display, boom, there you go. You have macOS, or sort of macOS. So that's a big feature and a big request that I have. But as for external monitor support, this works great. If there's something that you want to do, work on an Excel sheet, does great. Edit photos, does great. Video editing on an external monitor, well, video editing in general on the iPad Pro is not my favorite thing to do. But I guess I need to go to Miguel from the past to explain my issues with it.
Alright, I'm currently editing and the iPad Pro has 58%, started at 62%. Right now I'm just skimming up on the timeline and doing some cuts, correcting the mistakes that I made during the edit. Right now the shortcuts are pretty simple, you can do everything, you just click and you have the inspector right there. Final Cut Pro is running pretty fine. I would say the only thing that I missed is my plugins. Well, I missed them a lot. The keyboard shortcuts, they are the same, Command B for cutting. The trackpad is quite cool. You also have this thing right here, which is to skim up on the timeline. I don't mind it. Like, for touch is optimized and it's quite cool. Other than that, I wouldn't use it normally. And yeah, right there you have the effects, the transitions, the titles. I don't use them that much. I use more the inspector tab right there. If you click here, this will give you more of the transform settings that you are used to on Final Cut Pro, and then you adjust settings right there. You can use touch to adjust, so if I click here, I can adjust whatever I want. Click there and make it bigger, make it smaller, rotate it, whatever you want. And then, of course, you can use your fingers. I mean, this is a different way to interact with Final Cut Pro, and I wouldn't say it's better or worse than the Mac, but as you can see, Magic Keyboard, iPad Pro, I'm editing, so not that bad. Oh, one thing that also annoys me a lot, and I forgot to talk about this, is the import settings. Like, you can import from photos, you can import from files, as you can see here. If I click on files, it will show me these right here. This is a tab for the files. Here you have my SSD, and I mean, here's Final Cut Pro Original Media, which is where I have all my folders organized by date. This is my Final Cut Pro library, essentially. But at least I don't know how, but I don't think there's a way for me to connect this external hard drive here and access its files, just like Final Cut Pro library. So, yeah, not as easy. I don't know if I try to import files and then choose my hard drive and then search for my Final Cut Pro library, it is not here. So yes, I can access the file. So if I click original media, for example, I scroll down and click right here, I can find all my files, like my iPad Pro B-roll. I can find right there the unboxing. I can find them and I can import them. But like if I click right here, I can import the files, for example, this one. I can click open and it will start importing the file from here. As you can see, it's right here. It's imported and I can play it. As you can see, it's playing. My complaint right here is that, okay, I have this B-roll. The only issue is this iPad Pro only has like 256 GB of storage. So how will I import my whole library here, my whole B-roll that I have? It's like 100 gigs worth of B-roll just to make a video. How? This file alone, the A-roll file, is like 20 something gigs. A 256 base model device won't be able to do it. So, do you understand when I say that the iPad Pro is kind of limited on these things? Some things that Apple needs to refine on iPadOS to make it even better when compared to macOS. So, yes, the iPad, again, is a device to edit quick videos on the go. It's not to edit your full projects. For that, you are better served with the Mac. So, finished editing the video, only got like 9%.
Then again, it's Final Cut Pro for iPad. It's still limited. But Apple promised us when they launched his iPad Pro a new version of Final Cut Pro called Final Cut Pro 2. So I cannot review that right now, but after 2 weeks, again, it's the same issue with iPadOS. It's promised software. I cannot review the iPad Pro with that in mind. So right now, with the present Final Cut Pro, it actually sucks. All of those issues that you saw, this is more geared for casual video editors, TikTok video editors, let me just say that, while I need a serious video editor, just like Final Cut Pro for Mac, and the iPad Pro does not cut for me. I use it right now just for the Apple Pencil and to actually have those fun draws that you can use your Apple Pencil for. Other than that, those effects are worth it for you. If then, well, buy it. Other than that, I don't think it can replace your Mac at video editing. Not at all. Photo editing is a very different story. This iPad Pro can photo edit really well. Adobe Lightroom is really close to the Mac version, and I love to edit photos here. So if you like to just edit photos and use your Apple Pencil for everything, you love the Apple Pencil, then this is a great device to do so. Connect an external monitor and you'll have a great time editing your photos. Alright, now is the part of the review where it all falls apart. Using the iPad Pro is not just fun and games. iPadOS makes this experience troublesome, annoying, innovating, frustrating. I don't have any more adjectives to say and synonyms to say that this experience gets in my nerve. Because iPadOS adds a lot of missing things that macOS has had for years now. Especially things that are actually very important for a computer experience. Very important. And on the iPad Pro, you cannot do it. Files app. You cannot be transferring files, for example, from the iPad Pro to an external SSD and leave the Files app and go do anything else. You can't. You have to have your task being open on the app because there's no multitasking with behind the scenes. There's no background multitasking on iPadOS. This is a big flaw from the iPadOS itself, from the core of iPadOS. You don't have background tasks, and that gets in my nerves. When I'm exporting videos, I can't do anything else. While on my MacBook Pro, I can't. Another thing that annoys me, I cannot be playing two sources of audio at the same time. So I cannot have background music playing and then open a YouTube video. I can't. I love to do that on my Mac. I love to video edit while listening to a background music on my Mac. The iPad Pro can't do that. Once you try to play two audio files separate in different apps, the iPad just pauses one and plays the other. This is very annoying. One of the things that actually got in my nerve in the last few weeks. And it's not different on the M4 and the M2. It doesn't not matter. This is an iPadOS issue. And most of all these iPad Pro's problems, or even all of these iPad Pro's problems, come from iPadOS. I don't have any issues with the hardware. Perfect. The software, it lacks a lot of things. I think it would be easier for Apple to put, or at least to second boot, macOS here. It would fix instantaneously 99% of my issues with iPadOS. But lots of people don't agree with that. And so I would say try to make iPadOS better. Every generation, make it better. Add features, make it more complex. Background apps and background multitasking, it's urgent. Make it a computer. Make a better Files app. I say this every year. I say this every iPad video, but really, Apple, please, make a better Files app. Bring Finder from macOS. It's much, much better. Then, of course, background multitasking, like I was asking. It's ridiculous that I cannot use two apps at the same time while performing another task. It's completely stupid, does not make any sense. And another thing that annoys me a lot with iPadOS is give me freedom to manage my apps. When I connect an external monitor, I want to resize my apps wherever I want. I don't want to follow specific guidelines. I want freedom in that regard. If I want to have 4 apps open, let me. I know it's not the most efficient way to use a computer, but it's a computer. It's my computer. Let me do that. I know that this might seem very picky. I know this might seem very annoying for me, but I'm nitpicking because I truly believe that this iPad Pro has potential, and iPadOS is hindering that potential. iPadOS, it's very limited. It's a great, great tablet software, but it's a terrible, terrible computer software. So I don't think that the iPad Pro is a MacBook replacement. Not at all. Not even close. There are a lot of things that the Mac can do that the iPad Pro can't. Virtual machines, for example. You cannot boot Windows on an iPad, while on the Mac you can. And that's very helpful for work if you want to ever use any type of industrial programs for manufacturing, whatever. The iPad Pro, most of these work programs and software, they're not run on the iPad Pro. The iPad Pro support for software is very, very limited. So if you have your workflow figured out on the Mac, it's super, super fluid, super efficient. Do not try to switch for the iPad. It will be very difficult, lots of resistance. The software support is really trash. So right now, yeah, the iPad Pro is simply a laptop alternative, not a laptop replacement. And only for those that really love the Apple Pencil and the touch input method on the iPad Pro. So yes, let's now talk about the Apple Pencil Pro and the Magic Keyboard, which I do believe are one of the best accessories you can buy for this iPad Pro. Enough of the software, let's get back to the hardware. Like I've said before, these two accessories are essential for the iPad Pro, especially the Apple Pencil. This is what makes the iPad Pro unique. You can buy the Apple Pencil Pro, you can get the USB-C version, does not matter. The Apple Pencil Pro, in my opinion, is better, and the experience is insane. You have the squeeze gestures, you have the haptic engine, you have the Find My support, you have the double tap gestures, you have the magnetic charging. All of that makes the Apple Pencil Pro worth it. It costs the same as the second generation Apple Pencil, the previous model. So I would say if you are buying the M4 iPad Pro, buy the Apple Pencil Pro. This is a great add-on. Even if you don't use it that much, having it for signing documents, taking some notes, or using it as a precision input method on your iPad Pro, totally worth it. As for the Magic Keyboard, I would say this is more of a difficult buy because it's super expensive. This costs $350. It has a touchpad, it has the Magic Keyboard itself, and it has an inch. The inch is super cool. I would say it's not as easy to open as last year's Magic Keyboard, but it is better. It has more freedom, it has more degrees of freedom, it has an aluminum palm rest, so it's better itself, it's more premium, it feels better to type on, it feels more rigid, feels more comfortable, and it's faster charging. Also, they've changed the layout for the port. Now it's on this horizontal position. So if you are looking at it like this, it's on the horizontal position. It changed the horizontal position to a vertical position if you are looking at it from the side. It's fast charger, so now it's 60-watt fast charging with this USB-C port. It's cool if you want to free up the USB-C port on the iPad for transferring files. So the Magic Keyboard, if you want to replace your Mac, is an essential part of the iPad experience. If you don't, well, I don't think it's totally worth it because $350, yes, it changes completely your iPad Pro, and if you want a keyboard for your iPad Pro, then there's no better option than this. But if you don't, if you want to use your iPad Pro as an iPad, not as a laptop replacement, go on, buy a simple Amazon case and get the Apple Pencil Pro. Other than that, I don't see more accessories that you can buy for your iPad Pro. These two are from Apple's accessory line and they are great. The M4 chip was actually insane. I was not expecting the gains that I got from it, and I was really surprised how fast, how responsive it is, and how efficient it is. So cannot wait to have the M4 chip on the Mac lineup. I want to test it out and see. Right now, on a 5.1mm device with no active cooling at all, it does not get heated up, does not overpower itself, does not get too hot. Perfect, you can play games, you can play real racing, you can have ray tracing on games, Assassin's Creed, GTA, lots of fun games, Minecraft, you can play here. The display, the Tandem OLED is insane, 120 Hz, the graphics will look insane, Resident Evil, all of these third-party games, but AAA game-like games will look insane on the iPad Pro. You can also play retro games right now on EU, so the iPad Pro is actually the perfect mobile gaming device. Perfect display, perfect size, portability, everything. So yes, in terms of gaming, the M4 chip does not disappoint. And so that was it. This is my review for the 2024 iPad Pro. Loved it. The best iPad ever made. One of the best mobile computers ever made. But it is not a computer replacement. This is a mobile computer, what I like to call a mobile computer. It's a blown out version of the iPhone. Bigger display, bigger speakers, better microphones, amazing OLED panel, incredible gaming performance. All of this makes this a spectacular media consumption device, gaming device, photo editing device, but not a laptop replacement. Like I've been saying all of these videos through, this is a different laptop. This is a laptop alternative. Not a replacement, but alternative. And if Apple keeps it this way, it can replace a laptop for some people, but for most people, I don't think it's the best choice. For those that want to do light tasks, only Word, Excel, maybe sign some documents, email, Safari, web browsing, the iPad Pro is totally fine. And if you want a touch first input method, the iPad Pro is actually the best option for you. But if you don't, then keep the MacBook Airs around. Those are better laptops. They are cheaper and they are actually a laptop. This is a different kind of a laptop, but I wouldn't say it's a worse type of a laptop. It isn't. This, I think, will be the future of computing because it's thinner, more portable, easier to use. It has touch. So most of us are used to touch now. Most of kids are growing up using touch, using their hands. Every display is touched. Now, Macs, they don't have any type of touchscreen. Either Apple puts a touchscreen on the Mac or they let the iPad shine. It's their choice. For me, I would say, let the iPad shine. Let the iPad be the iPad. Let the iPad grow. Let the iPad take over the computing world. Because this is the future of computing. A touchscreen device with a modular computer, a modular keyboard, a modular trackpad that makes the iPad Pro simply an amazing laptop. But it needs iPadOS to get much better. Apple, I don't know what you need to do. Fuse macOS with iPadOS, I don't know. But certainly you need to improve it, this WWDC. But let me know in the comments below what you think. Can you replace your laptop with an iPad? Would you replace your laptop with an iPad? Would you support all of these compromises? Let me know all of that in the comments below. And do you think the M4 iPad Pro is worth it? All of that in the comments below. This was a long one, a big one, but I think it was totally worth it. Thank you guys for watching. Drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye.